much for attending tonight. I appreciate it's a real busy time of year for everybody. Obviously, the season's just started at the weekend. Kids are back at school. It's been a very hot and muggy weekend. So I hope you all managed to have a safe one playing football. It's really lovely to see so many of you on the call tonight. I will obviously keep checking in case anyone else joins us in the lobby. So I'm just going to add my phone to the call as well, just so that I can keep an eye on the lobby as well, which is great. So tonight we are going to be, let's get rid of that. Tonight we're going to be catching up on a few new season reminders and looking at some bits and pieces that are upcoming. Oh, I knew that there'd be some more people waiting. Let me just let everyone in. Jeez. Are you in, Darren? Hopefully you're in. Excellent.
Oh yeah, you're all right.
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Sorry, I was just saying that we're recording the session tonight for anyone that can't make it, and hopefully we're going to have a quick catch up of a few reminders for the new season, and then some bits and pieces that are upcoming. So I really appreciate everyone's attendance tonight. It's great to see so many of you on the call. So I'll start off with the agenda. So a little bit of a brief run through. These are some of the bits and pieces we're going to be covering off tonight. Hopefully we'll be done in an hour, but there'll be time for questions and at the end if you've got anything that you particularly need to be answered today. So we're going to look at safeguarding requirements, some open age safeguarding bits and pieces, just a refresher on the DBS process and challenges that we often come up against. Brief run view of the safeguarding visits for the 23-24 season and what they entail. The upcoming Play Safe weekend and competition. We've got a positive new project to launch to you all, and also the brand new welfare networking groups, which I am pleased to say have finally been agreed. So let's crack on. So we've got some upcoming dates for your diaries, and I'll share these on our Teams page. Apologies, that's been a bit quiet recently, but I hope you've all got access to that. Anyone that hasn't, drop me an email and I'll make sure I add you to the Teams channel, but fingers crossed you should all have access to that. And that'll be really important in the bit we talk about at the end with the networking groups, because hopefully that'll be a chance and a safe space for you guys to communicate with each other on there. So upcoming CPD sessions. So I've alternated these on different days of the week to hopefully respond to the feedback that I got from the end of season survey that many of you filled out for me. So thank you ever so much for that. Really appreciate that. Helped me then put together the package of CPD for you for this season based around topics that you had requested. So hopefully during the course of the whole season, we'll get all of those covered off for you, as well as doing some of those sessions that we found really popular last year with external agencies as well. So I'm hoping to get in Kick It Out. So we're going to do a little bit hopefully about anti-racism and attacking and addressing that in the game. We've also going to have the joint one again with the police, social care and health teams, which was really good last year, to give everybody an update of what safeguarding looks like in Suffolk at the moment, and any issues or local problems that might be occurring that you need to be aware of. And at the end of the season, I'm hoping to put on another thank you event. Well, I will be putting on another thank you event because I've been given a small budget for it this year, which is fantastic, because the last one was so it was so successful, and I really appreciated seeing you all there. It was really nice to allow you to have a space where you could just basically chat with each other and talk through similar issues and problems that you might be having, and also hopefully you found the presentation useful from the chap, Lee Walker. I was going to say, I nearly forgot his name. Lee Walker from the FA, who came down and sort of spoke about your role within the bigger safeguarding context at the National FA. So hopefully you found that useful. Excuse me. So like I say, those dates will be shared in the Teams channel. I will remind you all as and when they're due to come up. So normally about the week before. So hopefully you'll get a reminder with the link to the latest training session on there. And again, like I say, anyone that can't attend them, we'll record them and put them on the Teams channel so you can catch up in your own time. Also, there's a couple of dates on the right hand side. So we've got the Play Safe weekend, which we'll talk about in a moment. We've got the White Ribbon Day coming up in November, and it's Safeguarding Adults Week in November as well. So November's quite a busy time for safeguarding. So affiliation requirements, this is really just a huge thank you to you all, because I was so impressed with the amount of work that went into getting everybody DBS checked and safeguarding children trained in order to be affiliated this year. You guys had clearly, along with your club secretaries and managers, etc., done an amazing job. I mean, the compliance levels were so high, and I was really chuffed when we were going through them. So a lot of the affiliation went through automatically, which saved us a lot of work this year. And it was really, it wasn't as time consuming as it has been in previous years. So that made the transition a lot smoother. But also I did go through and manually check everybody as well. So that took a little while, but I manually went through and checked every named coach that was on the club portal and checked that they had DBS checks and safeguarding children training, just in case anyone slipped through the net, but luckily they hadn't. I then sent out some reminder emails, so hopefully some of you got those, of anyone's DBS or safeguarding that was coming up for renewal or expiry within the next 3 months, just as another sort of reminder for everybody, because I know how busy you guys are with keeping on top of things and keeping up to date with people's dates and everything within the club. So hopefully that saved you a little piece of work as well, and you found that useful. I'll try and do that every year for affiliation. But yeah, I was so pleased with the the amount of work that you guys have done to get that all those safeguarding boxes ticked for this season. So a huge well done to everybody. And this is a little bit about, we get a dashboard from the FA. There's a couple of dashboards, but this was the main one I wanted to highlight to you. And I thought it was just to really showcase your amazing work over the summer. So it pulls off all the data of the amount of youth team officials that we've got within Suffolk, and how they comply with the DBS checks and the Safeguarding Children course. And at the moment, as you can see, we are absolutely smashing it in Suffolk. I can't say that's the same for every county, but I'm so pleased that we are in the green, 98% course compliance and 99% for DBS compliance. And like I say, that is not a national picture, so huge well done for all your massive hard work in that regard. As you can see, there's a small amount of individuals that aren't trained and some DBS checks that are still in progress, but I really can't emphasize enough what a huge effort that is. So well done, everybody. I'll keep monitoring this throughout the season. Like I say, the FA are pretty good with giving us these dashboards so that we can see data at a glance, rather than having to obviously go for all the 300 odd clubs that we've got within Suffolk. And then we can target those individuals if they've slipped through the net or they've recently joined a club that don't have these things. But hopefully with the new system in place in Club Portal, you won't actually be able to allocate them to a team anyway until they've got these bits and pieces in place. So it will just be if things expire throughout the season that we just need to keep on top of. But yeah, huge well done for that. Just briefly, a little bit about the open age safeguarding. So some of you have got youth sections and adult sections within the same club. Some clubs have got them completely separate. But just as a recap on what's happening with the open age safeguarding. So this season, every open age coach is, every open age youth coach official, first aider, assistants, etc., must have if they've got under 18s registered on their team, or they're looking to register under 18s on their team, they must have an FA approved DBS check. So that's for all open age football, so your Saturday teams, your Sunday teams. If they've got under 18s on that team, or they're looking to register under 18s on that team, any of those positions, so coach, assistant, physio, first aider, so anyone that will obviously have contact and work with those children, if you like, must have an FA approved DBS check. So that's a big change this season. In the past, it has always been, recommended, advised, etc. But this year it's actually a mandatory requirement that they need to have those things. So how might that impact on you? Well, you might start getting a few adult open age coaches, physios, etc., coming to you and asking you to process their DBS check. I'm hoping that won't be too much work for yourselves, but if it is, obviously let me know. We can always add more verifiers, club verifiers to your DBS account so that you can so they can help process those checks. And that's not an issue at all. There's some forms and that we've now got from First Advantage who do our DBS checks to make the process a lot smoother. So anyone that we want to add as a named verifier, we can do just by filling in a form and sending it off to them, and then they'll get a login so that they can help you with those DBS verifications. If it's a completely separate side of the club, so they've got their own named secretaries, etc., again, they may be coming to you and just asking you the question of how you do your DBS checks. So but let me know if like I say, that demand becomes too much for you guys, and pass it on to me and I'll deal with them directly. That's not a problem. Like majority of clubs so far have been dealing with me directly, and that's been working absolutely fine. All the open age and adult teams now can actually have their own DBS account. So in the past, it was only youth clubs that could have their own DBS account, but the FA have now opened that up in line with this new requirement that only clubs can also have their own DBS account. So again, I can set them up as a separate account to the youth section if needed. Again, that's not a problem. Just let me know if you need any help with doing that. I've got some forms that they just need to fill in. Also, as part of the affiliation for this season, all open age clubs need to have a named adult welfare officer. Again, how this might impact on yourself, you might be asked to become that named adult welfare officer if you've got an adult and a youth section that you're part of. Alternatively, it can be another named individual. So don't feel that you have to become the named adult welfare officer if you're already the youth welfare officer. That's not kind of how it works. It can be a separate named individual, and at the moment that's all it is just a named individual. Now, the FA have put together an adult welfare, sort of player welfare course, if you like. That got released in end of August, so it's available now, and it will be an affiliation requirement as of next season for that named adult welfare officer to complete the course. So a bit like how you guys have to do your training, the adult welfare officer will also have to do a course, but it's a lot smaller. It's more about sort of player welfare in general. So it's about, under 18s in youth football, but also about people's mental health and signposting them to the right organisations. So it's not by any means a case that you'd have to pick up that extra work. It's just a way of giving you that information, or the adult welfare, so that information where they can signpost individuals to help with finances, or if they've got, like I say, mental health problems, etc. So that course is quite intense. It's quite a lot to take in. I have done it. It's they say it takes about an hour to 2 hours. It is free to my knowledge at the moment in time, and they are planning to keep it free. So if you wanted to jump on and have a look at what that looked like, as well as from your perspective, just as a youth welfare officer, feel free to do so. That will be on the England Learning website. So yep, and I've already covered off the bottom one about having their own DBS check to process, DBS account to process checks. Has anyone got any questions about that, or has anyone come across that, or had anyone asking them to do DBS checks for the adult side of things?
If you're going to just be the welfare officer for adult teams as well as the youth teams, do you have to do that course too?
So if you're already the youth welfare officer, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're already the youth welfare officer for the in preparation for the affiliation for next season, you will need to do the adult one as well, because like I say, it looks at adult welfare in general, rather than sort of child safeguarding, which is what the youth welfare officer course looks at. But like I say, it's a free course. It's online. It takes about an hour, but it will just give you, like I say, that extra knowledge to signpost adults to those organizations that can provide that expert support. It's not that we're going to be expecting you guys to provide that at all. So and just be aware of things to look out for in that. So and again, hopefully it'd be something that every adult coach will also do, because it will just give everybody that all-round picture of what sort of adult welfare looks like, and our responsibility in that regard, especially post-pandemic.
Thanks.
That's okay.
Does does the urgency for the DBS checks only kind of, this might be a stupid question, only kind of kick in once they sign an under 18? Because obviously you've potentially got some teams where they may sign an under 18 and the DBS checks are kind of, you know, have been started, but they're not critical until that under 18 is signed. Is that right?
That's right, Sarah. So I mean, I would always advise, well, I have been advising anyway throughout this sort of affiliation period, that any open age coach, if they think, or if it's likely that they're going to get an under 18 playing in their team that season, just to get a DBS check at the beginning of the season, so they've got it in place. I mean, that's the best advice I would give. But the FA are allowing, obviously, I can't remember the exact amount of days. They told us that on the call the other day, but they are allowing a certain amount of leeway between signing an under 18 player. So if you're halfway through the season, for example, I don't know, 1st of January, and you sign an under 18, I think they're allowing the club up to 4 weeks or 6 weeks possibly to get that DBS check in place. I will confirm that with you. But there is a grace period, if you like, because obviously we're aware that sometimes DBSs get stuck in the system, or you know, it takes a little while for them to be processed. So there will be a grace period, but I will confirm what that will be. But ideally, just get everyone checked at the beginning of the season, and then it doesn't matter. And then, you know, then also it's just good practice that, you know, everyone's safeguarded in the club as well. So I would just recommend it as good practice. But if for, you know, some reason out of the blue you weren't planning on signing an under 18, but out of the blue this under 18 turns up and wants to play Saturday or Sunday football, then there will be a grace period to get that DBS check in place. So
lovely, thank you.
No worries. Anyone else got any questions on anything I've done so far? So affiliation requirement, how did you guys, you know, just a bit of feedback really. I know I've had quite a few Welfosters contact me saying there was a bit of sort of pushback. It was a bit of a fight to get all the coaches through the safeguarding course and to get their DBSs and that done over the summer. But obviously whatever you did worked. So has anyone got any sort of comments on how they found that? Other than it was a pain.
We've had a lot of issues with people doing safeguardings that is stuck in the system. We've had to get hold of FA education because of something to do with the laptops or whatever. It has been quite a nightmare for a few coaches. And I've noticed even on our club portal, a lot of coaches showing have expired when they've actually got the safeguarding in date as well.
Oh, okay. Any problems with any of those? Will you send them over to us? I
still send them over to you, Hayley. You said you updated that.
Yeah.
For one of our coaches, but it's still shown on club portal that's expired, even though we've done the course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have a look at that for you, Jason.
Yeah, I have got some more to add on, so I'll get them together and send them over to you.
That'd be great. Thank you. Yeah, anything like that, send over to me. What's frustrating is the education sort of side of things. Unfortunately, there's only so much that I've got access to, so sometimes I have to refer them on to IT or the education team themselves. But yeah, send them over to me. I'll see what I can do. Like I say, sometimes it shows on one system and not the other for some reason. That's just a case of the systems marring up and talking to each other. So let me know who they are, and I'll see if I can get them sorted for you. All right, because that then obviously prevents you from naming them. I understand it's a bit of a pain, and you can't name them as coaches and that, can you?
Yeah. Same with DBS. I've got people who've got DBS still showing no DBS as well, so I've got the same issue with that as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to come on to DBSs in just a minute, Jason. But yeah, there are some problems with them being stuck in the system at the moment. I think because there was such a huge amount of people wanting to get DBS checks over the summer, you know, I'm not excusing FADV, we pay them, you know, they're on a contract to process the DBS checks for us. But I think that was one of the issues. And I had a lot coming in sort of from around about April time for some reason that were not updated in like the back end. So even though it showed that they'd got a certificate, it wasn't showing on the systems that we could all see. And that was a problem with the First Advantage people updating it in the back end of their systems. So I can only apologise for that, but they have been given a bit of a kick up the backside with regards to that, believe me. So we can only hope that moving forward, we get a smoother transition, should we say, with a DBS. I don't think they'll ever be problem free, but hopefully that the system will be a bit smoother. And that also brings me on nicely to talk about the update service, which I'll go on to shortly as well, which will hopefully resolve some of these issues for everybody. So look at that, Jason, DBS challenges and processes. This, like I knew it was going to be mentioned tonight. Oh, sorry, Laura. Yeah, how you doing?
Sorry, yeah, good. It was just a quick thing I was going to say on the back of that as well. What I found with some of my coaches is it was their safeguarding for all, you know, like that kind of free training they could do. It was that one that had expired, but actually the safeguarding children was in date. But if that one, if that kind of short free one has expired, they don't have to redo that one, do they? Because is it for the affiliation, it's the DBS check, and then the safeguard, that £30
Safeguarding
course, that's
children.
the one they need, isn't
Correct.
it? So,
yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
yeah, because a few of them asked me if they then needed to redo the other one that was expired, and I was like, no, you're covered under kind of robust one.
Yeah, that's right. So, and hopefully we did push with the FA to extend the discount, so everyone got it for a bit cheaper. So it was £15 throughout the summer, and they extended it to the end of August, which was good. So hopefully you got as many of your coaches done while it was at half price as you could. And we are still pushing for that price to come down permanently lower, but you know, it is an ongoing battle with the FA. But so leave it with us. It is something we are trying to get in place, because if it's a mandatory requirement, we don't understand why there's such a, you know, a high fee for that. You know, when you've got like, I don't know, 5 or 6 coaches to do at 30 quid a head, it's quite a lot of money. So although the recertification is free, which is good, the initial outlay obviously for clubs is quite costly. So we are still trying to fight on your behalf to get that cost down a bit.
I was told the recertification wasn't a thing anymore.
It is if you've done it within a certain amount of time. So there was a cut-off point, I can't remember the actual date, but if you'd done your qualification within the last 2 years, you could recertificate for free. But if it was older than 2 years, you couldn't.
No, see, mine was within 2 years. So I contacted Ken.
Yeah.
And I contacted FA Education, and they said that the recertification isn't a thing anymore, and you've got to do the whole course again.
That's not the information I've been given, Joe. So interesting. But yeah, I've been
unusual
told
for information to be different.
Oh yeah, surprise from the FA. But no, that's not what I've been told. But I can certainly confirm that. I'll drop you an email and just confirm that.
I'll find the email that I've got.
Yeah, let me know. It'll be interesting, because we've been told. So there was talk of this being done away with at one of our conferences that we went to at the beginning of the year. And we all kicked up such a fuss about it. We were like, absolutely not. You need to keep this recertification as free. That they changed it. So it might have been that you queried it at the period where it was going through that possible change.
I emailed on the 11th of July, or around about the 11th of July, and they said the old safeguarding recertification was retired at the end of July 2022.
Unless they were refreshing the course, they meant.
This has been replaced by the full safeguarding children course.
Because it is still available on England. I'm sure I saw it the other day. But leave that with me, Joe. I'll have a look.
I'll forward you the emails.
Forward me the emails. Yeah, that'd be interesting. And I'll take that up with the FA guys and see what's going on with that. So
confirm recertification is still going on, because I've had about 5 coaches do it.
Yeah, no, it's good to know, Jason. Thank you.
And that's been in the last month, that has.
Ah, good. I was going to say, I hadn't heard of it going, but you know, it'd be interesting to see, Joe, your comments you've got on that.
Yeah, only because I had to redo mine. So I clicked on the recertification, and it kept saying something I can't remember. But I screenshot it and sent it to the FA Education, and they said no, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Strange one. That, and if anyone else has that same message come through when you're trying to do the recertification, let me know, because I will chase that, because as far as I'm aware, it should still be going and it should still be free as well. So yeah, send that over to me, Joe.
Yeah, I have done. Thank you.
That's okay. Right,
Hayley, just before you move on from there, sorry,
yes, my love. That's all right.
I was on a safeguarding meeting with the FA this morning in connection with the FA strategy, which is sort of for the women.
Right.
And what I have asked for, or one of the we were supposed to be feeding back some of the grief that we get for safeguarding issues. And I have said that through the whole game system, we get a warning when the DBSs are expiring, but we don't get a warning for the safeguarding courses or the first aid courses.
Yeah.
So the lady that I was talking to, and she would, if you would allow, like to jump on your hub so that she can get any best practices shared across us all, but that's another story. What she said was she would go back to the FA with that observation and to see whether they can actually do that, because I've explained to her that as a welfare officer of a very small club, we're almost having to check every week to find out whose safeguarding has expired in order to get them to do it again. Well, we haven't got time for that. Whereas if you've got the alert that comes through the whole game system, similar to the DBS, then you could jump on it and get them recertified before it expires.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And it seems quite a straightforward solution to me. You know, if they obviously just tick the button that they tick for notifications for DBSs expiring, they could do the same for the safeguarding children. So I'm glad you brought that up, Helen. Thank you. I think that's a good point that you raised with the FA, and hopefully they'll take that on board. Things like this is what we need to keep feeding back to them, so that we can only improve the systems and that are out there for ease of use for everybody, really. So yeah, it's a really good point. Thank you. Hopefully they can get something like that in place. I know everything is moving over to Club Portal, so hopefully you're all familiar with Club Portal now, and that's where we register players, etc. For those of you that do that, and DBS applicants and all of that. So at the moment, I've got a colleague who sits on the working group for the Club Portal, and they can't at the moment. They're looking at the disciplinary side of things moving across there. So my colleague sits on that, but I can always make suggestions as well. So it comes from both county and obviously grassroots level. That'd be great. Any further suggestions that anyone has really about any of the systems, please feel free to send them on, because we can always make sure that gets filtered into the FA when they're reviewing these systems and trying to make changes and make things better for everybody. So yeah, no, thanks for that, Helen. So just quickly moving on to DBSs then. Now we've sort of touched. Oh, Jules, sorry, you got your hand up. Oh, Jules, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, it was me that had raised the thing about the strategy, not Helen. But
oh, I'm so sorry. I was
looking at up. Sorry.
I was looking at Helen. I thought she was the one flashing. Sorry, it was obviously you, Jules. I'm trying to work with my phone and my laptop at the same time so I can see who I'm talking to. But apologies for that, Jules. No, thank you for raising that. I really appreciate it. Right, so moving on to good old DBS checks. Hopefully you're all familiar, like I say, with Club Portal now, and you're familiar with the way that we set up the applicants. So in the past, we used to go through whole game system. Like I say, because everything's moving over to Club Portal, they are slowly shutting down that route for DBS checks. But it is still a bit of a complicated process, and I completely appreciate that some of you are new to the role, some of you have been doing it for donkey's years. This system might be new to some of you, but you might be old hands. So I'm just going to briefly run through it all. Like I say, the session will be recorded, so if you need to relook at it at any point, you can do. But this just basically talks you through the process. So to start the whole process off, you've got a new coach come to the club, you add them as a club official on Club Portal. And then this is how you set them up for the DBS check. So once they're added as an official, you can go to their official roles tab, which is pointed out with the blue arrow at the top, and then go to the plus button on the right hand side, which says assign role, and then you'll get up this little drop down box here which says all the roles that you can select them for club, and then you've got team roles on the right hand side. But for the club role, you want to select the safeguarding and then tick the DBS applicant box. What that then does is it sends a signal to their whole game system. So basically the individual then needs to log on to their whole game system, and on the left hand side they'll have a My DBS tab. which is this bit. So I have a My DBS tab on the left-hand side, and they need to select the green button which says, I don't know, Long Melford want to do a DBS check on you. Do you agree? Once they click yes, that generates an email to their email address with a link to go online and do the DBS. Now, just in itself, just even explaining it, it sounds cumbersome, and you know, it's not the easiest of processes to, you know, explain to people, you know, especially people that are doing it for the first time, or, you know, don't use whole game system that often, etc. So as everything moves across to Club Portal permanently, hopefully this system will be streamlined a little bit more, but at the moment this is what we've got. So we start the process in Club Portal as a club, or I can do it. I can log on if you tell me who they are. If you know, you can't find them or whatever, I can log on, allocate them that role as a DBS applicant, and then they then need to go onto their whole game system and do their bit. Once they've done that, they'll be able to check all their junk mail, because sometimes the email does go in their junk mail, and it won't be from myself. So sometimes people are looking for an email from Hayley or the FA. It'll be from FADV or First Advantage, who are the company we use to do the DBS checks. And then once they've completed their application, hopefully they'll let you know, or, you know, if you regularly check your DBS account online, you'll see that the application is sitting there waiting for verification, and then you can log on and verify their ID. And it's quite a straightforward process. It does talk you through step by step each piece of ID that they've said that they've provided. When you get to the first page, they haven't provided those pieces of ID, there's a drop down that says no, and then you can select the pieces of ID that they have brought along with them. And this is the important bit, to check names again and addresses against what is on the screen on their application. Like I say, the website does talk you through it. So you'll get the passport one up, and it will say, right, enter the issue date, passport number, date of birth, etc. And then, do you accept this? A blue box that says yes or no. So you tick yes, and then you go on to the next bit. Maybe it's a birth certificate or a driver's license, and then you can fill in the information it wants off of those documents. Once you get to the end of the verification, it will ask you to tick a couple of boxes to say that you've seen this person and it matches their ID that they've given to you, that you've checked the date of birth, and that you've checked the any change of names and the address. And then it will take you through to a page where they can pay. If the applicant is paying themselves there and then, they can do that with just putting in their card details, or if it's something that the club are doing, then obviously you can pay for it on behalf of the club there and then. And then that goes off into the system. It goes through several checks. The final stage of checks is what we call stage 4. This is the final police check. So once it gets to stage 4, this is where it can get a bit stuck, and it can take up to 60 days to complete. Now, there's no rhyme or reason for this. There's no I've not come across any rule that states why some of the checks get stuck at stage 4. Basically, they all go into a central pot, and police from across the country, they literally just take them out as they come in and process them. So it could be that an applicant down in Essex has their DBS check completed by the Manchester police, because they've got access to all the police databases and they do it in Manchester. It could be, you know, in Kent or wherever. So it really just depends on the volume that police department have got coming in at that time. Once it gets to stage 4 and it's been stuck there for 60 days, that is when we can chase it. So automatically FADV will chase with the police any check that's been sat there for 60 days or more, and the police department actually gets fined for every DBS check that gets to that 60-day mark. But they only get fined once. So unfortunately, if you can imagine, you know, you're a police department, you've got a lot of DBS checks sitting there, say you've already been fined for this one, naturally that's going to go to the bottom of the pile, and the ones that are coming up to be fined for, you're going to get them done first. So unfortunately, then that's where it can get a little bit stuck. But they chase it automatically, FADV. If you're still concerned that it has been stuck there for a little while, you can speak to FADV, or the applicant can speak to FADV themselves just to try and chase this process. And I'll give you some contact details of how the applicant can do that. They must make sure when they contact the DBS people that they've got their application number, which you'll be able to give them off of your DBS account. It'll be an E number. So they must make sure they have that, and then they can confirm their date of birth and address, obviously, over the phone. But yeah, the applicant can chase that as well once it gets to that stage. If you've got anyone that's at that stage, and you need to have those contact details, like I say, I'll share them in our group chat on the Teams channel. But I'll also contact me directly, so I can chase them as well. Sometimes it's better if there's more people that are contacting them than none at all. And then once it's gone through all the stages, you get the certificate printed and it's posted out to them. And this can take up to 2 weeks for the actual certificate to come through the post. Now, if the certificate is returned with any content or information on it, in the past, the FA used to get a copy of that as well as the individual. Now, obviously, with GDPR rules and regs changing, unfortunately, now the FA don't get a copy of it. It only goes to the applicant. So the applicant might say, oh, here's my DBS, I've got my certificate, but it's not shown on their fan. If it's not shown on their fan, it means they haven't actually got an FA approved DBS check. The fan part is the bit that the FA have then done their little checks on it and they've approved it. So I'll just repeat that. If they've got a certificate, but it's not shown on their fan, it does mean that they haven't yet got an FA approved DBS check, because that certificate might have content that requires additional risk assessment by the FA. Now, if there is content on it, the FADV, First Advantage people who've done that police check will just contact the FA and say there's content on that certificate that you need to look at. They won't explain what that content is or go into any further detail. They'll just say you need to look at it. The FA will then directly contact the applicant to ask them to send off their certificate. Now, they do this up to 3 times. They do it via email and letter. And if that person ignores that request to send off their certificate, they automatically get a non-compliant safeguarding suspension against their FAM. So it's really, really important that they don't ignore that correspondence. Unfortunately, there's no way of us knowing that they've had that correspondence until it gets to that. Sometimes we can check beforehand, but if it gets to that point, we'll just know because they've got a non-compliant safeguarding suspension against their FAM. It'd be ideal if when they contact the applicant to ask for their certificate to be sent off, they contact us as well. But with GDPR rules, etc., they're not allowed to do that. So it just goes to the applicant. But it might just be worth reminding all your coaches, etc., that if they have any further correspondence with First Advantage or the FA following having a DBS certificate, they must not ignore it. So once the certificate's been sent off to the FA, if it's got content on it, they send it off to the FA. The FA will do some further risk assessments based on the content that's on there. It could be an old conviction for robbery when they were 15, etc. And they will basically look at the transferable risk to children. If there's a big enough transferable risk to children, obviously, then they won't approve the DBS check. But if they feel that actually that applicant will be okay, they might interview them, they might get some references for them, they might get a bit more context around the conviction, etc., and they approve the DBS, and that will then go on their fan to say that they've got a DBS and it's clear. If there's anyone that you're not sure about, if, like you say, Jason, you've got a few that are stuck or whatever, or it's showing on whole game system and it says, for example, paper DBS complete, see paper disclosure, that normally means that there's content on the certificate. Or if it says it's referred to CM, which means case management, that also means that there's content on the certificate, which is why that information hasn't pulled through with the DBS date and the expiry date. So always give me a shout if you're unsure of any of those. So yeah, just a reminder that they haven't got a DBS check until that's on there. So this is something else. So the update service is something that I've been pushing since I started at Suffolk FA. Some of you may be aware of it. So it's a free service that we recommend all individuals register their certificate on once they've received it. So you can only do it with new certificates, and you have to do it within 30 days of receiving that certificate. This is like I say, it's a free system. It's a government system that we use, that anyone can use, that's in either a volunteer or a paid position. So mine, for example, was done back in my DBS done in 2007, I believe, for my nursery that I used to work at. But that's still recognised and approved by the FA because I have it registered on the update service, which just basically means that it's a constantly live DBS check. So it means that our children in football are a lot safer because we can check it annually rather than every 3 years. And it means that you don't have to go for the rigmarole of applying for DBS checks every 3 years, which is a real pain for everybody. So like I say, once the individual gets their certificate, within 30 days, they can go online. I'll share, like I say, I'll share all this in the group, in a Teams chat, but they can go online and apply for the update service. So all it is a case of registering their certificate on a government database that says that they're happy for their data to be kept updated. That's a lot of data to be kept updated and be checked on an annual basis. They then just have to sign a form from the FA, which I've put on the screen just there, which says that they give consent for the FA to check their DBS on an annual basis. And again, that then is just something that will stay on their fan and be updated on an annual basis. They won't have to do the DBS every 3 years. At the moment, there's not a trying to explain on whole game system, there's not the capacity to store the update service information. So for example, my one has got an expiry date when I joined in May of 3 years time, so I'll no doubt get a flag in 3 years time if they haven't updated their systems that my DBS is due to expire. However, with everything transferring over to Club Portal, I've been reassured by the FA guys and the IT guys that there will be a capacity on there for information about the update service. So if you've got an individual that's on the update service, hopefully when everything transfers over to Club Portal, they'll have that information on there, so they won't get these triggers, emails when it comes up to renewal every sort of 3 years. So like I say, that I'll share that information on our Teams channel and the forms that you can fill in as well to get those done. Sorry, Jason, you got your hand up. You there, Jason? I don't know if Jason can hear me. No, I'll crack on. But if you want to jump back in, Jason, just give me a shout. Oh, are you there? Okay, I'll crack on. I also would ask that you send me a note of anybody that does subscribe to the update service, just because I'm keeping my own record, so that when I do have people in 3 years' time contact me and say, hang on a minute, I've got this reminder to say I need to redo my DBS check, it is actually on the update service, and I can say to the FA it's on the update service, please stop chasing this person. There's also a form on there that you might see in the bottom right hand corner, and that's to add additional verifiers, like I mentioned when I was talking about the open age safeguarding. If you want to add any additional verifiers, the forms will be on our Teams channel, and again you can just download them and then fill them in as and when you need to send off to the FA to get additional verifiers added to your DBS account. And if you have any problems with or queries with the DBS check process, you can contact them directly. And there's also now a live chat feature, which is on their website as well, which is really useful actually if you want to live chat with them as well. Okay, any questions on that? And we could probably talk about DBS checks all night. Hi, Sarah.
So my question is, with that automated process, I realise it's key that the email address that's recorded on the portal is 100% correct, because then that is the email that the auto-generated email goes to. It's just caused me recently, I haven't had a problem, but I'm kind of foreseeing one possibly, where I've been emailing somebody on a different email address, and I've asked them to check that they still, I mean, sometimes people have multiple email addresses and they do have access to all of them, don't they? But I've asked him to check that he has got access to that email and explained how important it is, because he will need to be able to access that email address to receive the instructions. The application hasn't moved forward any, but I just wondered if you knew how disastrous it was if they don't have access to that email address. I'm guessing they would just need, I or them would just need to contact First Advantage, or is it not that simple?
Yeah, no. So if they haven't got access to that email address anymore, the best thing to do is to let me know, and then I will change on whole game system. I can log into their fan and I can put the right email address on there, because that that is the only way of them getting that email link, if you like, unless I set them up via our Suffolk FA PIN, which is a little bit more complicated because then I have to meet people in person and do their verification. Sometimes people can't always get to me and I can't get to them or whatever. So it's better if it goes through the club. So yeah, if they haven't got that, if when you're going to set them up as a DBS applicant and they say, no, I haven't got access to that email address anymore that's on my fan, let me know what the right email address is and I'll just log into their fan and update it, and then they'll make sure that they get that link then.
Okay, all right. So it's obviously important that they don't press that button until that email address is correct, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. But to be fair, they won't even get that stage of clicking the green button because it won't recognize that fan, if you like, if they haven't got access to that email anymore. Do you know what I mean? So they wouldn't even be able to log into that fan anymore with it. So yeah, so before you even start the DBS applicant process, just double check they've got the right email address on their account.
Okay, thank you.
Is what I would advise.
Hi, Heidi, can you hear me now?
Hello, yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jason, I lost you.
Yeah, it's my AirPods. What it was, we had one coach. He signed up for the update system because he works with really hard children in areas. And we was told by the FA that his update servers for that didn't count, and he had to go for a brand new DBS, which had to be FA. Mm-hmm. For some reason.
There's certain so the FA only accept a certain type of DBS check. So some people, so for my job, I had an enhanced check with it's called an enhanced check with a child's barred list, and it wasn't with adult barred list, it was only child's barred list. Now
his was as well.
Just with child's barred list. And
yeah, because he works with Catch-22.
Oh really? So that does surprise me, because I accepted mine and mine was with child's barred list.
Yeah. Mine's the same at Norwich City. I have to have one for Norwich City FC and another one for the Waverley, because Norwich City one is not FA for some reason.
That's a bit crazy, isn't it? But I mean, any FA one that the guys do, I would recommend getting their FA one on the update service. So even if, you know, like I say, the FA won't accept for some reason, I don't know why, but they wouldn't accept their employment one. If they do the one through the FA and then register that one on the update service, then they can't then, refuse that one because it's their own DBS check. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. So basically, as soon as they get the DBS cleared, they go on, sign up straight away.
I would. Yeah, I'd recommend it. It's literally a case of putting there. They just need to put their certificate details in, which they'll have in front of them if they've got the printed certificate. And then just accept. Just click a button to accept and confirm, and then fill that form in. Then we'll send that off to the FA. And then they won't have to do a DBS check in ever again, unless the government obviously change their goalposts, which they might do. But fingers crossed, they won't ever have to do a DBS check again.
Excellent, thanks.
No worries. Hopefully that will save us all a little bit of heartache. So safeguarding visits. I realise I've rattled on for a lot longer than I should have done. Should be wrapping it up by now, but I've got a couple more slides to do. So just briefly, safeguarding visits. So throughout the season, I'll try and get out with my colleagues to as many clubs as we can to see their training sessions, and we carry out a player survey whilst we're there, and we talk to coaches and parents. This is literally it's not a pass or fail. It's literally to see what knowledge is out there with regards to safeguarding from a parent perspective, from a coach perspective, just to see if there's any additional support that we need to put in place, or highlight or flag any signpost any safeguarding courses or etc. for people. We got some really good data from it last year, from the player survey, and that is sort of feeding into something else that I'll discuss coming up. But 9 times out of 10, the questions we ask around are: how safe do you feel playing football? Have you ever thought about giving up football? If you had a problem, who would you go to? And probably the main one for you guys, who would you go to if you had a problem? Just to highlight for yourselves, is that the majority of the players that we surveyed said that they would go to the coach if they had a problem. And obviously that is a really big deal for children and for your clubs. So it's important that your coaches know how to process any of those concerns that they may be directed at them by the players. So yeah, I think it was really high amounts, like 85% of all players surveyed from 7 to 16, and that was around about 175 players I think we surveyed. Around 85% of them said that they would go to their coach if they had a problem. So that's obviously a really important message to deliver back to your coaches after today's session, hopefully. So yeah, we'll start going out to clubs in the next week or so. There'll be random visits. We normally go out at the beginning of the season and ask for clubs' training schedules. So we select an amount of clubs that we would like to visit throughout the season, and we contact those guys directly for their training schedules, and then we pick out of those say 20, 30, 40 clubs that we've gone to, who we're going to then go out and visit. So if you haven't been asked for your training schedule, that means that you're probably not due a visit, but I can't say for definite, because obviously we do want there to be some kind of element of an announcement to the visit. Part of the visit, so we come out in person, but we also do what's called a desktop review. So we look at what safeguarding information is available to members of the public, say a parent that's looking to sign up their child to your club. We'll look at what safeguarding information is available publicly for that parent. So it might be that you've got a website or you've got a Facebook page, and we look on there to see if you've got named people for safeguarding and contact details, if you've got your policies and procedures on there, your ethos, etc., codes of conduct, that sort of thing. And then once we've done the desktop visit and the visit in person, I put together what's called a report, a safeguarding visit report, and I send it out to yourself so that you can see, basically it's got all your areas of strength, what you're doing really well, how your parents and coaches answered the questions, if they knew who the welfare officer was, who they'd go to if they had a concern, etc. And then it might give some advisories or some actions that need to be carried out. But like I say, it's not a formal pass or fail. You don't get your registration removed or anything like that. It's just, hopefully we'll get to the point where we've visited every club in Suffolk in the next year or two, and we'll be able to say, yeah, all the information that is publicly available is spot on for every club in Suffolk, and coaches and parents, etc., know exactly who to go to if they've got a problem or a concern. So it's more of an audit purposes kind of thing for us, really, and obviously making sure that children are safe in football, and you guys are doing what you should be doing, which I have no doubt that you do. I've got 100% confidence in yourselves. So if you see an email requesting a training schedule, don't think, oh Christ, they're coming out to see me. It's not like I say, it's not an assessment or anything like that. Please don't worry. And a lot of the clubs I contacted last year after I'd done the reports actually found the whole process really, really worthwhile, and thought it is very helpful. I pointed them in the right direction of some of the bits and pieces they could add to their website, and they did, and it just made things better for everybody. So hopefully I will see some of you soon on the safeguarding visits. Like I say, I can't get out to every club, but my colleagues also do the visits, and we do them alongside sometimes board members. So you might see that we just turn up, but we'll have our Suffolk FA kit on, and yeah, some documentation to prove who we are as well, if you're ever not sure. So you don't think there's these random people in Suffolk FA coats just coming to talk to your children and your coaches. Any questions on safeguarding visits? Sorry, I'm looking at my phone. I'm not looking at the screen. No? Well, hopefully I can get out to you guys. We have a minimum amount of clubs to visit every year. So we have a minimum amount of 14, but we try and get out to more than that. So I think last year we got out to 20, and this year we're hoping to do the same again. So it's obviously quite time consuming to go out in the evenings to the clubs, and sometimes we have to go out 2 or 3 times if they've got different age groups training on different days at different sites, etc. So yeah, but they're always really good visits and things to do. So we do enjoy getting out and speaking to people. So the Play Safe weekend, hopefully you've seen all my emails plugging our competition that we've got. As you're hopefully all aware, the Play Safe weekend is on the 30th of September and the 1st of October. Hopefully you've now all got the digital assets as well that the FA have sent. So they include a video that I'm just about to play you, and you've got some bits and pieces that you can add onto your social media sites to promote the weekend. And hopefully the next video will play. So I will move on to that.
It's about everyone.
Everywhere.
Every time.
Play your part.
Make your play safe play.
Okay, so for those of you that were about last year, you might remember that the Play Safe weekend really focused around the new parent carer safeguarding course that the FA introduced. This year, it's more about pledging your dedication, your commitment statement, etc., whatever you like to call it, to safeguarding children at your club. So here are some top 10 tips that the FA have shared to show your support. So the first is to make a Play Safe pledge. So you can log online. I think I sent you all the links, but I'll pop them again in the Teams channel. You can basically select from some of the pre-typed statements that the FA have got on there to say, yes, this is what we're going to do, or you can upload your own one or type in your own one. And it's just to pledge basically what you're going to do as a club to continue to make sure children are safe in your club, and pledge your allegiance, if you like, to the Play Safe campaign. There's, like I say, the assets have now been issued, so hopefully everyone's got those. There's also editable assets on there as well, so you can embed your own badge into some of the letters or the social media assets that are on there, so that you can make sure your logo is present alongside the Play Safe logo and the FA's logo. Like I said, the social media assets are on there, editorial content. So if you want to stick something on your website or in a match day program, you can do as well. You can use that editorial that is on there. Posters. I appreciate a lot of you haven't got access to printers, etc., to print those off. But again, if you want to download them and then just pop them on your WhatsApp groups or your social media channels, then feel free to do so. If anyone is desperate for the posters, I'm more than happy to print some off for you and laminate them here. If you're able to come and collect them, I can't guarantee I can get out to everyone and deliver them, but if you want posters printed and laminated, I'm more than happy to do that for you here, so you can display them at your club. Drop me an email and let me know how many you'd like and what sort of size. I don't think I've got A3 sheets, but I can do A4 definitely. Let me know. Email banners. So if you've got a club email address and you want to stick the Play Safe banner at the bottom, you should have those as well. Films such as the one that I just showed, and there's shorter clips that you can post on social media, etc. Take photographs of your events. That obviously lead me on shortly to the competition that we're running in the county. And again, reaffirm that message about sharing the Play Safe, the online free safeguarding course for your parents and carers. So that's what we were, hopefully you've all received and what we were given from the National FA. And that brings me on nicely to our competition. So this year, I decided to get a bit of money from Richard and the board, and we've managed to get together some prizes for the most innovative way that a club celebrates the Play Safe weekend. So I'm hoping that as many as you as possible will join in. I've got a prize for first, second and third lined up, and hopefully you will love them. They're good prizes. They will benefit your club and hopefully be a bit of fun as well. So yeah, I've got some prizes lined up. So anyone who's got the most innovative way of celebrating the weekend, get your applications into me, the entrance into me, sorry, by Friday the 6th of October. Myself and the team will review them and vote for the best one, and like I say, then we'll come back to you with the outcome. First, second and third will receive a special prize. So hopefully that will encourage your parents and that to get involved as well, and as well as your players. So I don't expect you to share what you're doing now tonight, because obviously everyone's now up against each other. But yeah, hopefully that will just be another little fun way of getting everyone engaged as possible with the campaign, and to continue to promote it throughout the season as well. Now, hopefully, I know, Laura, you said at the beginning that you hadn't got your physical assets. So the physical assets are the PlaySafe armbands. Sorry, I should have brought one into the meeting. And hopefully you can see I'm wearing one of the PlaySafe pin badges. So everybody should have received a PlaySafe pin badge for each of their coaches at the club. And the armbands are for your youth team captains to wear. Now, if you had older teams, hopefully you'd have received larger armbands. This is what I've been told by the FA, but you know how messages sometimes get lost in translation. But hopefully your older children would have received larger armbands, because we were aware last year that the smaller ones weren't fitting, sort of like the 16 and upwards guys, if you like. They were quite tight. So, but we have been given a surplus stock. It's very small, but I have got a small surplus stock of pin badges and armbands. So if anyone hasn't got any, or you would like more, please drop me an email with how many you would like, and I will try and either get them to you, or if you can come and collect them from the office, that would be amazing. I'm here Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays most weeks. So has anyone got any questions on that at all? Sorry, I realise I'm rabbiting and it is 7 o'clock. So let your imagination run wild with the competition. Feel free to celebrate it however you want. You could do videos, you can do social media posts, you can do posters, you can take photographs, whatever you're doing. I'd love to see all the fantastic ways that you guys are going to be celebrating the weekend. So thank you in advance for that. And like I say, if anyone would like any more resources, pin badges or armbands, let me know and I'll see what I've got left in the office for you. Like I say, I've only got a small stock, but I'm sure I can help you out with that. Really briefly, before I move on to the final part of the evening, which is the networking groups, I'm aware I'm running over. If any of you got to jump off, I appreciate that. If you've got Corrie or Emmerdale or something you want to go and watch, then that's obviously a lot more interesting than me talking. So, you know, I'm not bothered at all. I don't mind. But really quickly, so this is something I alluded to earlier, and hopefully something I have communicated out via emails. But as a result of, obviously, you know, most of you know I do discipline as well as safeguarding for Suffolk FA. And as a result of a review of all the misconduct charges and yellow cards, red cards, etc., discipline stuff that we had last season, we decided that we would like to introduce a project to hopefully improve spectator and coach behaviour in football to make Suffolk a more positive place to play football. So we've looked at the clubs that were sort of the highest offenders, if you like, and we're starting to contact them individually about getting on board with this programme. We're hoping to launch it the first week of October. And it will sort of be a bit of a three-pronged approach. So we are looking at coming in and doing some training with the coaches and club officials about bystander intervention, etc., that we've got some external agencies doing with us. We're also going to be looking at ethos, club ethos, club rules, etc., seeing what you've got in place and seeing how we can make those better to make sure everyone gets on board with the message. We've also got, we're also going to be looking at introducing respect ambassadors. So I'm looking at trying to get some sort of training, almost like steward training that they have at Ipswich Town and things like that for the respect ambassadors that we will nominate, clubs, etc., to help promote that positive environment and to challenge poor behaviour on the sidelines. And we'll also be providing some resources to the clubs that come on board with the project. We're going to start small, so we're going to start with a couple of clubs, and then hopefully, depending on how successful it is, next season we'll roll that out to more clubs as we can. So we've got to, like I say, please don't be offended if we don't target your club straight away. But we're starting off small just to see how it goes. It might run, it might not at all, but it's something we feel really strongly about promoting and trying to improve in Suffolk. So we're going to get some resources together, because a lot of the time we go out to clubs if they've got problems with spectator behaviour, etc., and they come back to us and say, what more can we do? We haven't, you know, what can you give us? Can you help us, please? And we actually, or the FA actually, haven't got anything that they can give out, and we don't have anything we can give out, but we will do. We're going to get some leaflets made, some A-frame boards, some posters, some little credit card things, etc., some social media assets. We're going to put together like a whole package basically for initially, like I say, those target clubs, and then hopefully we'll roll it out to everybody, more clubs next season as we can manage with our sort of small teams, just me, Mel and Phil. So bear with us. But yeah, hopefully as many of you as possible will get on board with that. If we contact your club, please jump at the chance, because I'm hoping it'll be a really positive project. And rather than keep beating people with sticks and handing out fines, which clearly doesn't work because misconduct is still here and it still will be, but we would like to try a different approach and try and educate people and train people to make that experience better for everybody, really, in Suffolk. And the eventual idea that I've got, which might be quite grand, and it, like I say, might not take off, but that those clubs will earn sort of at the end of the season, will sort of then review their discipline and misconduct throughout the season. And if there's been a marked improvement or an improvement at all, they'll get almost like a badge that can say, yeah, we are a positive place to play in Suffolk, and they'll be able to share that with their parents and players, and hopefully attract more people to your club. So ideally we would like every club in Suffolk to have this badge to say we are a positive place to play, and I'd like that to also then sort of roll over into other counties. So it'll be Essex is a positive place to play, and we've got Cambridge is a positive place to play, and it will just target those individual communities. So fingers crossed. Watch this space for more information. Obviously, you can imagine we are super busy at the moment getting that ready. Yeah, so like I say, watch this space for more information on that. Any questions on the project? Like I say, it's a bit of a crossover between safeguarding and discipline, but it will hopefully benefit everybody concerned. What I was alluding to before with regards to the player survey that we undertook at the safeguarding visits that we did last season. We asked them to rate on a scale of 1 to 5 how safe they felt playing football, all the players that we interviewed, and only 15% out of all the 175 children that we spoke to, only 15% said they felt very safe playing football. So only 15% of those children gave it a 5. Mainly it was a 4 or a 3-star rating, and the reasons behind that were mainly being shouted at on the sidelines by their coaches or their parents and spectators, and that also prompted us to do this campaign, because we thought that gave a really positive message from the kids that actually they would like change in the game. So that also, yeah, it's sort of inspired us to do this project. And finally, networking groups. So I think I've reached out to all the networking leads now. Apologies if I haven't, and your name just pops up on the screen. I think I have asked you all for your permission. So fingers crossed this works smoothly, but please shout if I haven't contacted you. I'm pretty sure I have. So I'm about to announce, drum roll please, the networking groups. So the aim of the networking groups that I'd like to introduce this season is to create groups within the different regions around Suffolk for yourselves as welfare officers to lean on for additional support and guidance. Now, I know welfare officer job is a very lonely job. You often deal with the rough end of football, a bit like myself, you know, the discipline or the safeguarding side of things is the rough end of football. So I appreciate it can be quite a lonely job. And what I'd ideally like to do is, like I say, create these networking groups so that you can liaise with each other within your communities to talk about local issues, just to lend a friendly ear, give some advice and guidance, etc. at the sort of immediate point where you're, you know, sort of struggling for help and support. Obviously, I'm still going to be about, don't worry, this isn't taking away from me or my role or my contact with you at all. I just thought it might give you another sort of support arm, if you like, around to get you through the day, really, when you're trying to deal with, you know, safeguarding issues and things like that that are coming in, and complaints from parents, etc. So it's not to replace me, but it's just another way of helping support yourselves and each other, and hopefully creating the networking groups where you can share your problems with each other and you know, get some advice maybe about from somebody that's dealt with a similar incident, for example. So I had some lovely nominees for leads or joint leads for the networking groups. Others I had to twist some arms, but they have mainly come on board now, which is fantastic. I've got a few groups that are still needing a second person, and they're quite large areas. So I would like to have more than one if I can. So if anyone wants to nominate themselves to be a joint lead, that would be absolutely amazing. So the idea is that the two leads, so the lead and the joint lead, would basically just share their email address with the people within their networking group, just their welfare officers, so that they can be contactable if they, you know, need a friendly ear or a bit of advice and guidance. So like I say, I don't know how popular it will be, or even if it will take off, a bit like the Positive Place to Play project, but I'm really keen on giving it a go and giving it a try, and just seeing if it works, really. So fingers crossed. I've included all the clubs as well, but again, if I haven't, please shout and let me know, because my brain gets a little bit full of information sometimes. So we've got the BABER network. I think that's how you say it. I'm not a Suffolk girl, so BABER, consisting of the clubs on the left-hand side, and the network lead for yourselves will be Simon Edwards, who is currently the welfare officer for East Bergholt Juniors. He might not be the East Bergholt Juniors welfare officer by the end of the season, but he is currently. I know he's training up someone to take over from him, but he has kindly offered to be the networking lead for the BABER region. So all of those clubs will come under Simon. So thank you very much, Simon, for agreeing to take on another role when I know you're already a very busy man. Like I say, if anybody would like to be the joint networking lead for BABER, please let me know, because it would be nice if we got a couple of people for each region. We've also got, so for Ipswich, David McGregor from COPS and Julie Sadler from St John's Youth have kindly agreed to be the network leads for the Ipswich area, which contains those clubs on the left-hand side. I think there might be someone else under Witton, but I can't see it because my screen's not getting rid of this bar at the bottom for some reason. But I'll send these out and post them on our Teams channel, so that you've all got them and you know who your network lead is to go to. I'll also set up individual network groups on the Teams channel, so that you can just specifically talk to the Ipswich one or the BABER one, whichever region you're in. I appreciate some of the regions might seem a little bit strange, but I took this information off of Whole Game System, and according to where you sat in the sort of council regions as well, is kind of where I've then put you in the network. But again, if you think your club should be in a different network or is missing from a network, please let me know and I'll allocate you accordingly. Where have we gone? Oh, there you go. It does let me get rid of that thing at the bottom of the screen. Okay. I've been handy to know an hour and a half ago. So the Mid Suffolk networking group is as follows. Again, that's quite a big one, but thank very much Sarah Barnes, who's on the call tonight, who's agreed to be our joint leader alongside Sarah, who's also on the call tonight. So Mid Suffolk win already for having both of their network leads on the call tonight. Thank you very much, ladies. So these guys will be all of those clubs' point of sort of contact, advice, etc., if you like, and we'll hopefully develop a lovely working network in Mid Suffolk. And then we've got West Suffolk. Currently, it's just Claire Darkins. Bless you, Claire. You've got a big old group there. And again, you're on the call tonight, which I really appreciate, from Mildenhall Town Youth. Sorry. Again, though, that's a really big area for Claire. And if anybody else would like to volunteer to kind of work alongside Claire, that would be amazing, to support all the welfare officers in that network. We've got Suffolk Coastal network, consisting of Kesgrave, Bennell, etc., on the left-hand side, and that joint lead at the moment is Helen Finlayson from Wickham Market. So thank you very much, Helen, for doing that role. Again, if somebody would like to share that role with her, that would be fantastic. As you can see, it's a fair old network. And I think this is my last one. Yeah, finally, we've got Waveney. So Jason Dobson, who's on the call tonight. Thank you, Jason, for agreeing to be joint lead for the Suffolk Coastal. Oh, no, for the Waveney network. Apologies, I haven't changed the text on that side. So for the Waveney network, we've got Ash Buckland of Corton Youth and Jason Dobson of Waveney, who are the network leads for our Waveney welfare network. So thank you very much to those guys for doing that. Really appreciate that. And I will share your contact details, like I say, with your networking welfare officers, so that hopefully that will be another arm that you can use, another ear that you can speak to, another shoulder that you can cry on if you need to support each other in what is a really tough job, which I appreciate each and every one of you doing, and giving up an hour and 15 minutes tonight of your time to listen to me ranting on. I really appreciate that. So has anyone got any questions about anything we've discussed tonight, including the networking groups, etc.? Again, a huge thank you to everybody that's agreed to be a lead or a joint lead. Really appreciate you giving up even more of your time to the good old cause that is safeguarding children in Suffolk football. Any questions, or is anyone wanting to run for the hills or go and put the kettle on? Because I know I'm gasping.
I've got one question, but it's about something entirely different.
Yes, Jason, how can I help you?
Well, our youth league have now introduced team sheets.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
Yeah, and there's a lot of arguments. A lot of people are saying
Yes.
it breaks GDPR rules. I've told them it doesn't, or any safeguarding rules, because it's just naming the player and a team number, and that is it.
Yeah.
What I want from you is just some advice. Well, I can go back to the coach and say that I've spoke to you, and there's no GDPR being broken.
Yes, so I was made aware of this a couple of weeks ago, and I initially went to Norfolk because it's a Norfolk affiliated league. So unfortunately, it's not a Suffolk affiliated league. So, you know, I'd feel bad if I sort of stepped on anyone's toes and told them what they should be and shouldn't be doing. So I went initially to Norfolk FA, and I got some advice from Dave Woodfine, who's the safeguarding lead at the FA, regarding this, because it was new to me. I hadn't heard of youth team sheets before, but apparently it is something that is quite widely used across the country. And I've passed on Dave's advice to me to Norfolk FA, and it is currently in their hands. So it's something that they are just making sure they've dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, every box is ticked with regards to GDPR and safeguarding rules, and they are in the process of just confirming that as we speak. So I know I spoke to them today, and they're still just waiting on a few clarifications about a few issues. So I know it's going to sound massively like I'm passing the buck, but it is in Norfolk's hands, but it's something that I have raised with them.
Excellent. Now I can pass that on to my coaches.
All
anyway.
right.
So, yeah, thank you.
No problem at all, Jason. Anyone else got any questions tonight? No? Well, I really appreciate, like I say, thank you for giving up your time tonight. I think the cleaner's now arrived at the office, so I should probably be getting home. I'm going to be kicked out soon, I reckon. But thank you ever so much for your time. Hopefully I'll see you all on the next one. If you've got any questions in the meantime, give me a shout. And as always, thank you ever so much for everything that you do. Really appreciate it. And good luck all the networking groups and for the Play Safe weekend. I look forward to seeing all your entries. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.